I still blink in the sunset. You know I never wanna make you upset. How did I become so obsessed with this?
Welcome gamers to another episode of Hypixel Skyblock. My name is Mercury, and today I will be discussing where you should categorize yourself as a Skyblock player right now. Basically what I'm saying is, I'm going to be telling you if you should categorize yourself as an early game, mid game, late game, or end game player. Let's get straight into it. Armor set wise, early game players should have one of these armor sets: Hardened Diamond, Ender Armor, Old Armor, or Protector Dragon Armor. Weapons wise, they should have the Aspect of the End or a Raider's Axe. In terms of the enchants on these weapons, they shouldn't be maxed out because you don't probably have a lot of money in the early game, but they should still have like a few enchants. When you're in the early game, a common Enderman is a great one, and most players probably do have a common Enderman for their needs because it is very cheap, and most of the early game players do use them. Now, early game players shouldn't have too much so much knowledge of minions, but they should have at least maybe 8 minion slots. Well, if I'm being honest, 8 to 12 minion slots, because that's the point where they're it's a decent amount. So and you can also get it by accident by just crafting minions. So yeah, they don't really have an idea on how valuable minion slots are, and if an early player, talismans wise, probably has a ton of these common talismans. Not all, obviously, because some of these, actually none of these common ones, but they should have a lot of the uncommons as well, apart from a few. They should also have these low tier slayer ones, like the zombie ring, or the spider ring, or the red claw ring, talisman. When you think of skills as an early game player, you're not going to think of too high level. When you're an early game player, your skills should be probably very low, unless you're grinding a lot, but that's very unlikely. So honestly, if you're a early game player, your average skill level is probably around 15. Alright, moving on to the mid game. When you're a mid-game player in Skyblock, at this point, you should probably have every single one of the fairy souls. Of course, I still don't have them, but you should have most of the fairy souls, because you do have the resources at this point to actually collect the fairy souls. Armor-wise, you should have probably upgraded to young or unstable dragon armor. Strong armor isn't really at this point, but still, actually, strong armor would probably also be pretty accurate since the prices have gone down in recent months. In terms of swords, they shouldn't have the aspect of dragons or a pigman sword yet, but they should have a leaping sword, an aspect of the end, or a raider's axe. Of course, a maxed out raider's axe is probably more accurate. And they should have max enchants. Hot potato books aren't really considered, but still they are definitely considered. And also weapons wise, a bow, they should probably have a hurricane bow or a runons, because both those bows are very cheap. Minion wise, they should probably have at this point maybe 12 to 18 minion slots, because at that point it becomes pretty expensive to craft minions. Talismans wise, a mid-game player probably has, of course, a ton of these uncommon talismans, but they should also have a lot of these new, more rare talismans, and maybe even some epics like the experience artifact or the Melody's hair. I can't get the Melody's hair because my ping is so freaking bad, but regardless, they should probably have those and they should have the Melody's hair if they do have good consistent ping. At this point in Skyblock, your skills should be more high, and you should probably have an average skill level of around 17. Also, I forgot to mention that pets wise, you should still probably have a common Enderman, but you may have a few other cheap pets. I'm not I'm not gonna get into specifics, but like still your pets should be pretty small. Your pet menu should be pretty small, and you probably still have the same common Enderman. Now this is where things get juicy. I'm gonna be talking about the late game. The late game is the point in Skyblock where you start getting a little bored. It's not like there's not things to do, but the things that you do are incredibly boring. That's my first take on the late game. Armor-wise, you should probably have strong dragon armor by now. Superior isn't really what you should be thinking about, because there's a lot of other things, like other things you should be worrying about. Of course, you know, I have superior. I'm going for superior, but you know, I'll talk about that later. And so strong dragon armor is probably your main set because it's so dang cheap. It's only like 4 mil for the entire set, and a lot of people can get it pretty easily. And that's like the only armor set I recommend. Oh yeah, okay. By now, your slayers should probably be decently high. I didn't mention the slayers before because they're kind of irrelevant, but late game is where the slayers kind of become important. You can get really good talismans, like the red claw ring, and you can also get really good healing items like the mana flux or an upgrade of the radiant. Well, you probably had by the mid game already. Your average like slayer skill level should be probably up to 5 to 6 because you know that's the point where you're like you don't have to do too much grinding. I don't want to grind to level 7, man. Anyways, weapons-wise, they should probably have the aspect of the dragons, what I have here, or the pigment sword, what are both, like, basically equal, except one is a lot cheaper than the other. I don't know if you can guess what it is. It's the aspect of dragons. Okay, let me just... But, yeah, they're both pretty equal, and if you have either, then that's the weapon you should have. They should all obviously be max enchant. I don't really expect Dragon Hunter, but maybe. Max enchanted and hot potato booked, obviously, with spicy, you know, all that jazz. Pets wise, this is where it kind of gets a little interesting. Now, when you should probably still have an Enderman, because that is super good. But you should also have, like, some other ones, like a legendary wolf. I have an epic, but, you know, ignore me. Like a legendary wolf, probably an ocelot, a few others. I can't really name because I don't have them. But there's a lot more that you could get. Obviously, the bat pet I have. I mean, not entirely necessary, but whatever. The silverfish pet, the rock pet. There's a ton of pets that you can get, and all of them are equally useful, mostly in their own respective categories. In terms of minions, at this point, it gets pretty expensive, but you should probably have 18 to 21 minion slots. Because that's where your minions can, like, all your minions can, like, bundle up and make you a ton of money every day. Unlike, you know, clay minions, they only make me 1 mil. If you're a late game player, in terms of talismans, you should have every single one of the talismans I have here, excluding maybe a few, and adding, like, at least one, you know. The melody's here, I can't get it. I'm complaining, but still, I can't get it, man. My ping. Ah! In terms of their skills, they should probably have an average skill level of 20 to 21 at this point. Their skills should be definitely, like, decently high at this point. And, yeah. Now, I'm not going to be talking about personal experience anymore because, you know, I don't really categorize myself as an endgame player. But the next category I will be discussing is the endgame. Now, take everything I say in this category as a grain of salt, because I don't really know exactly, because I am not myself an endgame player, but I'm gonna try to attempt to explain what an endgame player looks like. Weapons wise, they should probably still have like a pigments or aspect of dragons, and I still think that that's acceptable, but a lot of endgame players at this point, they probably have a Midas, let's be honest. And if they do have a pigment or AOTD, they probably have it completely max enchanted with all the level 6, level 4s, or like Dragon Hunter 5 or whatever. In terms of armor sets, they should probably have superior dragon armor, or if they're really like cool and have tons of money, they probably have Frozen Blaze. The superior probably doesn't have to have growth 6 and prot 6, but that's also like a category that also maybe distinguishes it as very, very endgame, or just like endgame. Yes, I kind of laughed there, but now Slayers wise, they should probably have almost all level 7 Slayers. Maybe apart from Wolf, but that's my personal preference. If I'm being honest, they probably do have Wolf 7 at this point, because you've grinded out all your, you know, your Slayers to max. Or maybe they even have some like level 8s, like Zombie. They probably may have Zombie level 8 or 9. In terms of minion slots, they probably have 22 to 24, and probably almost all the max minions you can make, and all the unique minions you can make, apart from maybe the Tarantula and Revenant minions. But you know, yeah. Honestly, this next part I'm about to discuss is kind of personal preference for these endgame players, but they should probably have almost, or if not, every single accessory in the game. There's actually like a new one that's come out that they may have not gotten yet, but like still, you know, they should maybe have probably gotten all the talismans in the game. Not every single one, because they may not want to spend the money on the more expensive ones. They should probably almost have every single talisman in the game. The late game is also where the point where Skyblock players decide that they want to grind skills a lot. So at this point, I'm really not too sure what your skills should be, but they should be definitely way higher than mine. Obviously, you may have like an average skill level of like maybe even 30 or 25. People have said is acceptable as in end game. I'm not really too sure, but you know, yeah. And if they grind a ton, they probably have like, I don't know, tons of level 50 skills. I'm not sure. But also, pets wise, they should probably have way more pets than this. They should have a lot of the pets in the game, like and they probably have like a level 100 Ender Dragon epic. Not the legendary, I don't think all endgame players really have that, but maybe that, or maybe like a DPS pet, like the Phoenix, legendary Enderman. You know, there's just a ton of pets I can name off. Like a legendary Golem. They probably have all those. Very high levels as well, not necessarily 100, but they probably do have some at 100, you know, some very high levels. This video I got from this guy. I'm gonna put his name up on the screen, but I got it from him. And I was planning on doing this video a while back, but I don't know, kind of never got around to doing it, I guess. But yeah, that's gonna be it for this video, and I. Slap that like button and subscribe. I said that already. Anyways, see you guys next time. Bye!